Alright, today I'm going to show you how to change the coolant and check the spark plug or replace it on a 2018 CBR300. So first thing you want to do is take both fairings off. You don't have to take it apart like I did. I just did all this because I was bored and wanted to have something to do while in quarantine and learn how to disassemble this thing. But all you need to do is take the left fairing off and the right fairing off. If you don't know how to do that, you can check the owner's manual, which helps until you're pulling it off. But there are also a number of videos on there that show you how to do it. Maybe I'll do one, but for right now, it's just just take those off. Second, there's a bolt right here. It's right here. It'll be up here like that. Take that out, and then you unhook this rubber right here. You just pull it forward from under these little hooks right here, and then push it back. It's on both sides right here. You pull that out, and then push it away, and you're good. Second, you want to pull it toward you like this. Just pull it like that. It'll pop out from those little hooks right there, right here. These are like rubber mounts. Third, you want to take this cap off, the radiator cap. Now, when you do that, be really careful because there's a screw right here that you need to take out first. So, take out that screw, then take the cap off. It's really easy to strip. It's in there pretty tight. So, you got to push really hard and turn it so it doesn't strip. Next, you want to take this off. This is going to prove pretty difficult. It's not like your traditional hose clamps like this one that you unscrew and slide off, or the other ones that you squeeze and then push off. This one is actually pretty tight. So you have to get some pliers and squeeze it here. And what I did was I grabbed it here like this. That pushed it, and I wiggled it and pushed it back at the same time. And while doing that, you'll probably only get one side pushed off. So at the same time, I used my thumb and just pushed on it like that to slide it off. And it'll take you a few minutes to get that off, but it comes off. And this hose will be hooked back here. It'll be hooked back here like this. So you can just pull that out. And once you get this hose clamp off, it might be stuck on this overflow tube right here. So what you do is you get some pliers and then you just turn it like this. Just turn it, loosen it up. Then you can take your hand and just pull it off. So give me 1 second and I'll show you. Alright, so after you've wiggled that off, just get your pliers, turn it like this so it's loose. And then you can make sure this is down, the radiator is down a little bit so you got some space, and then you just pull it and it comes off like that. Now, since this is the overflow tube, it'll have like very little coolant in it, like pretty much none. So nothing's going to spill out, but I mean that's what it's there for, is to prevent the coolant from spilling out. But turn the flashlight. Let me get a light real quick. This will be full of coolant. Alright, if it's not full of coolant, you need to add coolant to your bike, your car, or whatever. but the radiator should always be full of coolant. So what you do next is you get like a bucket or something, some kind of container to catch the coolant that's going to fall out. Screwdriver, remove this hose clamp right here. You don't have to remove it all the way, just get it loose enough for you to slide off. You'll see the thing, the bolt right there. Then you just keep twisting it until it comes off. And so it comes loose like this. And then it's going to take a little bit of muscle, but you can get this off here. I got me like a little plastic can, a little plastic pan, and this. You can use a bucket, whatever you want. Just also make sure you have a mat right here to catch it, because you don't want this spilling everywhere, because you need to pour it back into the radiator. So make sure you catch it and keep it somewhere safe. Alright, so I got this loose. So now if I had like a little camera mount, I would mount it like right here. So I could use this and hold it. I could use this and catch some of it, but I ain't got one. So to get it loose, you just twist it. It'll come loose. Keep twisting it. You can already see it just wants to flow out. Roll up your sleeves, because it's going to flow out immediately. Just keep twisting it and pulling it. Like that. Alright, after you let the radiator drain, or while the radiator is draining, you want to clean up any spills, any mess you make, especially some of it might get here on the tire, on the exhaust pipe, on here. Side note, you can also remove the exhaust pipe if you want to get that out of the way. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. But first, we're going to finish up removing this right here. Then we'll get to this exhaust pipe, and then the spark plug, which is right there. Alright, so while this is draining, you want to clean up any spills, any messes you make. You might have saw that a while before, it kind of spilled out all over the place. It got on my arm, all over my glove, right? But I cleaned that up while it was draining. It's going to take a while, especially from this hose right here. This is where the majority of it will come from. So you just hold this, bend it back, and then a whole bunch of coolant will come out. Right, hold it up like this again, just wait a little bit, and then bend it back down again. It'll just do that until it's like this. Alright, that's so that way if you hit this hose by accident, a whole bunch of coolant doesn't spill out. You're protected from that. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, this is going to take quite a few minutes to drain, so if you have nothing else to do, just might as well just sit around and wait. So after we do that, make sure you keep track of everything too. I have my radiator cap right here. The hose clamp is still on there, and the little screw is right there on my flashlight on the magnet. And if you're wondering how much came out, I'd say probably about a quart. About a quart of coolant came out. Some stuff got on the tire. You can see it's still kind of leaking right here. That's okay. I'm going to clean that up later. I tried wiping it down, but some's still under there. Don't worry about it. And we're going to come over to the other side and do the same thing for this one. First reason why we hit the lower first is so that way all the coolant drains out. See, like that, there's still a little bit left. That's cool. So that way it pulls the coolant from here, and then it all drains to the radiator out there. So that way when you pull this hose off, there should be nothing that comes out. All right. And how this stuff works, I don't know. It's something with gravity. I didn't really study physics like that, but some weird effect is going on that's pulling all the coolant out. Probably gravity. But, yeah. So we're going to take this hose clamp off right here, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so real quick note, if you find yourself loosening this like all the way, you see this little that little tab right there, that's pretty much the clamp, right? You saw that before, it was like out here somewhere, right? If you find yourself turning it until it gets all the way back here, it's probably, you know, a little stuck. It'll look like this, right? It'll be like latched onto here, but it'll be bulging right there. So all you got to do is just push it up and wiggle it around, and then it will get like this. As you can see, it's really loose now, right? So if you find it's getting stuck or it doesn't look like it's loosening, just wiggle it, push it, and it should come off. You slide it off, and you're good. All right, I've got the upper radiator hose off. One thing I should have mentioned before is that, or two things. This is a rubber hose, so feel free to manhandle it, twist it, pull it. Don't be too aggressive with it. Okay, but you know, it's a rubber hose, so I can squeeze it like that. And you can twist it, pull it, you know what I mean, manhandle it. Don't be afraid, because it's going to be stuck on here a little bit. It goes through heat cycles a lot, just like the rest of the engine and transmission, so it's going to be stuck on here pretty good if you've never had to deal with rubber hoses like this before, especially since it's being clamped on there. It's going to get stuck. All right, but the other thing, oh, we got some coolant in there. Let me show you that real quick. So here, with that, hold this down. Got a little bit of coolant that comes out, just a little bit. But that's why we drained it from the other side, like I told you before. If you get someone here, don't worry about it too much. Just, you know, clean it off, clean as best as you can. What I was saying before is that there's a little mini cute little fan right here, and there are wires attached to it, coming out of it and whatnot. So, and it's anchored right here. There's like a little latch, I guess, holding it on. It's right here, keeping the wires in place. So, you know, don't be throwing the radiator around because you might tear one of those wires. But next, what we're going to do is remove these bolts so we can get the fan off. Right here, separate the fan from the radiator. There's one bolt there. There is one on the other side. Oh no, my bad, there's three, sorry. There's one here, then there's another here, and then there's another one on the same side. I mean on the other side, but still on the bottom, which is, oh my god, ow. Right there. See, be careful not to get the horn wet right there. Make sure you don't mess that up. Alright, so I will remove the fan and come back. Oh, if you couldn't see, these are screws. You can use either a socket or a screwdriver. They both work. Just wanted to point that out real quick in case you guys didn't see. Alright, I've got the radiator off, and if you're wondering what this is me labeling the fairing bolts that you take off because they're different. You can see this one goes under the headlights right here. These two go on the lower side, like around here, but on the inside they go right there. Those are the same, but you can see the bolts that go by the fuel tank. This is the one closest to the fuel tank, and this is the one a little below it. You can see that they're a little different. I just labeled them so I know exactly where they go. But, once you've got that, the, what do you call it, the radiator out of the way, you've got hose right here. This, let me get a light real quick so I can show you. If I'm not being too accurate with the camera, sorry. You know, I got one hand here. There's nothing holding the camera besides my hand. I mean, I don't have a mount, so you know, if I go like this and you see me talking, I'm sorry. I'll try to be as good as possible, but you can see this is the fan. Those are the wires right there. Pretty sure you can unplug those, but that's the little latch I was talking about right there. That's holding the wires in place so they don't, you know, fly around everywhere. So when you're taking this radiator off, or this fan, be very careful. You don't want to rip those. You'll have to buy a new fan and, you know, replace it. But so far, at this point, you know how to flush the coolant, and you know how to replace the radiator, as well as the radiator hoses. So far, you're getting pretty good at working at your own bike. Alright, so what we're going to do is try and put this in a safe spot, away from any potential damage, like knocking into it, or you know, it getting hooked on something and ripping. So I'm going to try and find a spot. I'll show you where I put it, but if you want to find your own spot or remove the fan entirely, you can go ahead and do that. It looks like there's some screws in it right there, and then for this right here, it looks like this is how you take off the actual fan itself, and this is the switch. But the switch looks like it comes off right here and there. So if you want to do that, you can go ahead, but I'm going to skip this step. Alright, so for the exhaust pipe, I'm going to need a 12mm socket for this bolt right here. This is pretty much the exhaust manifold. It's a single cylinder. I know if you're used to looking at other exhaust manifolds, it's quite a weird experience. There's two bolts, one there, one there. When you can see that I loosened it already. But when you're taking it off, be careful, mindful of the gasket that comes with it. Keep that on there and don't lose it, especially any washers that come out. And this is the oxygen sensor. You're going to need a 17mm wrench to get this off. So when you're getting this off, try not to use any power tools, because the vibrations might screw up this sensor, and these sensors are not cheap. Well, for motorbikes they might be, I don't know, but for cars they typically 90 to 200 bucks. So be mindful of any power tools you use. I recommend just using a wrench. Once you loosen this, you can use your hand. Hold on 1 second. Put this somewhere. You can just use your hand, twist it like this, like that, get it out. But this wire right here, when it's in here, it's already twisted, which is, I find weird. I don't know why they design it like this, but yeah, you can see it's a little twisted already. That's how it was before I took it off or loosened it. And if you follow this wire, there's nowhere to unplug it. So give me just a moment and I will show you how to remove this thing without twisting the crap out of that wire. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, there is this little cover on it. It just pops right off. It's like a here you just pull both sides of it like that, and it comes off. It's just a little cover. Alright, so I managed to find the connector. It seems I was like looking right at it the entire time. I was standing over here and I followed the wire, and I assumed that this wire right here was going to the oxygen sensor, but it's really this connector right here. So I unplugged it already. It's right here. You just push this tab in on the bottom right there. Just push it in and pull it down. It slides right out. No trouble whatsoever. So from there you just finesse it through this little opening there. Be careful with it. You don't want to break that piece right there. And then once you push it through there, there you go. Now you can get this off without twisting that wire. So all you gotta do is keep turning it and turning it, and eventually pops right out with no issues. There you go. That's what it looks like. Zoom in on it. I mean, get a clear picture for you. There you go. Right there. Maybe shine some light on it too. There you go, right there. This is what a healthy O2 sensor looks like. Now don't be an idiot like me and try to take this off right here. I was squeezing and pulling at this. I don't know why, but it was very stupid of me, and I could have broken this thing. It might be broken right now. But yeah, it took me some trial and error before I figured out that the connector was right there in my face the entire time. So, moral of the story, whenever you're doing something, look at it from both sides. Because I was right here. I went over to this side and followed the wire, and it led me to that connector. And if you remember, I previously thought it was this one. So, always look at things from both sides. And make sure you keep everything ordered and together. I'm going to drop this right here. And then we will get these bolts out. Okay. So once you get those bolts out, you'll see that this piece doesn't come off, and that those little things were, hold on, where's my finger? There it is. You'll see that those little things were just caps for this. That's fine. That's perfect. Don't worry about that. Just make sure you keep track of this thing right here. This is very important. If you lose this, you're going to have exhaust leaks like mad, and your bike will probably run like garbage. So, follow this. See that there's one bolt right here, and there's a ground wire. We're going to remove this bolt right here. Alright, this is ground. If you forget to put this back, or you don't put it back, or you lose it or whatever, it gets broken, your bike might not start. Or if it does start, you'll notice that some things don't work. Maybe you can't shift into third and any gear above that, or you can't shift out of neutral, or the neutral light doesn't come on, various things. So make sure you don't lose this. This ground is very important. I mean, the whole bike might not even work, so keep track of that. That's why we're going to remove this one, so that way with the exhaust pipe off, it'll still be anchored right here. It won't be going anywhere. So move this bolt here, and this one here. There's a little plate right here, which is like a holder for the exhaust pipe. as you can see. So after that, I think there's one more bolt, which is right here on the passenger foot peg. Now you can take this whole thing off. I think it's pretty common that people remove the passenger foot pegs on their bikes, so this might not even be on your bike. But if it is, remove this bolt right here and should be good to go. This down here, this is the heat shield, and hold on 1 second, I'm stepping on stuff. This right here is, looks like it's a clamp for the muffler. This looks like, yeah, this looks like it could be the muffler. Probably, most likely, definitely the muffler. But this gunk right here, this is from a motorcycle cover. I put the cover over the exhaust pipe, and later learned that you're supposed to cover everything but the exhaust pipe. So instead of wrapping it all the way around the bike, you put it all the way around the bike, but then stick it back here along all this stuff, so that way it doesn't melt on the exhaust. And I don't know how to get this stuff off, and it doesn't really bother me too much, so I just leave it. But anyway, yeah, we're going to get those bolts off and then get this exhaust pipe off. Alright, got the exhaust pipe out. There are these bolts, the one that's over here and the one by the right driver's side foot peg behind that brake pedal, right under here. There's a nut on the other side of the bolt. So at this point you can use your power tools, because we got the oxygen sensor out over there. You can use your power tools, crack these loose with your gun, and then you can get your hand around the other side and hold this nut, or you can get it off like this, and then use the power tool to get the rest of the way out. But when you're on this bolt right here, once you crack this loose, you'll hear and see the exhaust pipe drop. So at that point, you want to support it. At least on this side, I would do it in the middle. It is kind of heavy. If I had to guess, I'd say it's around 20 pounds. Yeah, 20, 25 pounds. It's kind of heavy, kind of. All right, with the bigger side right there, where the muffler is, being the muffler and the cat being the heaviest. So you can either support it on this side or in the middle. I recommend somewhere in between. It's kind of heavy, but use your gun, get this bolt out, and hold it, and where's my light? Right here. Be careful with this right here, because you will, you don't want to mess up these threads, so don't let it hang. All right, support it on that side down there with one hand, or in the middle right here, and then kind of wiggle it off right here. As you can see, there's a lip right here, so I'll show you the exhaust pipe in a minute. So right here, you need to wiggle it out of this, and then make sure you avoid touching these studs. As you can see right here, this is that lip I was talking about. Just make sure that this comes out first, and you don't mess up those studs. And with that, you have officially removed your exhaust pipe. So good job. We should celebrate. Alright, so now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to show you how to remove that coil right there. Just waiting for the car to pass. Alright, so I got the flashlight setup on here. It has a magnet on. Hold on. Oh, I lost that screw. All right, I'll look for it later. So, to get this coil out, let me show you something real quick. Before you go on about removing the gas tank and the air box and all that stuff, here it says you just remove that mount bolt and unhook the radiator and drop it down. Just move it out of the way, and then you can remove the spark plug cap, right? I tried doing that. It was, unless you have really small hands, it is going to be very difficult for you. And my hands are probably average size, maybe a little bigger, just to give you a little comparison. And it's not too big, right? And it was pretty difficult for me to get both hands or even one hand in there. So this is the manual for the 300R for 2018. So yours might be different, but yeah, that's what it says to do, right? If you, as we've seen, if you drop the radiator, you get where is it? Right here. It would be right here. You get just a little bit of space to get your hand in here, right? Which, like I said, isn't enough. So, but the manual does say that you can check and replace the spark plug by this method. So, if you want to remove the gas tank, the airbox, and all that, and do it from here, you can. That's up to you. I'm just giving you guys an alternative. All right, so to get this thing out right here, what you need to do is push up. All right, first, to initially like unhook it, you might need to twist it a little bit like that. So twist it a little bit and then pull it up. You should hear it like pop. It'll be like a little plunger, mini plunger noise. So once you do that, you just push up. Keep pushing up and up and up and up and up and up until you get it. You'll have to push these wires out of the way like this. You can use one hand to do that. Like, get your left hand in here and push up like that. And then use your other hand to feed the coil out. But you will need to push and push and push hard. I'm talking like push up like this and then move your finger down and push up again and just keep pushing it, and you'll feel when it gets to this point right here, right? That's when you can start like angling it out, right? Instead of pushing straight up, you push it to the side and out like that, and it should pop out. Like I said, if it's not working, just keep pushing up and up and up until you nearly get there, and then you can pull it out from the side like that. Just keep trying, it'll come out. So as you can see, there's no other way for me to get this out. I didn't take the gas tank off or anything. So, I mean, it just worked for me. If it doesn't work for you, keep pushing, all right? The only thing that's up here a bunch of wires right there. You can see the fuel pump right there, but right below that you can see a mass of wires. Oh, hold on. Right there. I was a little off. There it is, right there. This is what you're pushing up against right here. Don't worry about that. It'll be fine. It's been through much more torture. So just keep pushing until you finally get that out, and I will show you what to do next. Okay, let me get the flashlight again so you guys can see what I'm going to show you. Angle in this way. See if this will work. Oh, that's good enough. All right. So right there is the spark plug well. So the manual tells you to clean around here before you take this out, because it's going to be pretty dirty, and that should be common sense, honestly. Don't pull this thing out, and especially don't pull the spark plug out if you didn't clean around here. Don't want that dirt and whatever else getting in the spark plug well. Alright, it might short out your coil. So once you've cleaned that, even after you get this coil off, I mean, still clean around here a little bit. There, that's better. That's much better. All right. So what you're going to need? Hold up. You will need a short extension. All right, just a little short extension, because you won't be able to fit anything bigger than this in there. Then you'll need a 5/8 spark plug socket. All right. See, just take a look at it. 6 point. Right. That's all you need. So before you do anything, do not drop this in here. All right. Do not just drop this in the spark plug well, because you might get it stuck in there. Okay. You just put this in here and drop it in there. It will not stick out right there for you to put the socket in. It'll be a little further down, and you'll have some difficulty getting it out. So you put the extension on that first. I should be able to do this with one hand, and the same way you got the coil out, you want to get this in there. All right, so if I remember correctly, I did this a couple times already. So you put it in there like this, and you just push up, push it up, and it'll fall in there like that. Then you want to take your ratchet, it's right here under my knee. It should be to the correct setting. Then you throw this on here. Hold on, 1 second. Once you've got that in there, it won't be tight. All right, it won't be tight, so just break it loose, and then it'll be super easy from there. Give it a few turns with the ratchet, and then take it out, and just twist it with your hand the rest of the way. It's a really long thread, so using the ratchet is not recommended, because you'll be there all day, and your arms will get tired. So just once you break it loose, it's loose enough. Take this off and just turn this with your hand until the spark plug comes out. Well, until you can pull it out. And just hope that little rubber grommet in the spark plug socket doesn't come out, because you're going to have a heck of a time getting it out if it doesn't come out. All right, so give me 1 second, and I will show you exactly what to do. All right, so I've broken it loose. Let me just turn it like this, and as you can hear it, I'm turning it all this much, and it's not really. It's barely turning, barely getting enough resistance to turn. So you can turn this with your hand, right? So get the ratchet off, then just turn it by hand. It'll be a little difficult at first, but just keep turning it like this. And there's no clear indication when it's out, so you just keep turning and turning and turning until you think you've turned enough. Well, since this is pretty difficult to get in there, I'm just going to keep turning it until it sounds loose. So I'm gonna pull this out. Give me 1 second. Okay, So, got the spark plug out. This is what it looks like after. Let me go. Won't focus. Focus. There we go. This is, here we go again. There we go. This is what it looks like after around 1,200 miles. If I had to guess, that'd be like 2,000 kilometers. But yeah, that's what it looks like right here. Be careful not to touch this side. Looks like there's some oil on it. That's probably why it refused to start a couple of times. So it did fall over a couple of times. That's how my mirror broke. The one time I didn't put the kickstand all the way down and it tipped over, and the second time the wind knocked it over. So I guess some oil got into the cylinders. So be careful you don't hit this tip right here. You can see that it is pretty thin. It's very delicate, so be careful that you don't knock that anywhere. So let's talk about getting that thing out. So, alright, well, I don't need that. So once you've turned it enough, right? Like, and I mean sit there and turn it for like a whole minute straight if you don't think it's loose, right? So once you've turned it enough, you want to take the ratchet off and, like I said, pull it like this, right? But that extension is going to be in the way, so you need to remove that first. And the way you do that is, let me move this stuff real quick. So what I did was I got under it like this, just slid close, got both my hands through here, right through here, like this, and held the socket like this, and use my other hand to pull the extension out. Like, I tilted it this way as much as I could and pulled that extension out. Once you pull the extension out, you can pull this out like that. Now, for me, the spark plug did come with it, and I didn't want to risk dropping the socket down there because, you know, it's a bit of a tight squeeze. So what I did was I took my pocket screwdriver, has a little magnet on the end, stuck that in there like this, just like that. You can see I still have a firm grip on it. I'm not going to drop it. And then fished it out. Came out like that. Real simple. Real easy. Alright. Now we'll talk about this this oil problem. So all your oil will sit down here near where the filter is. When you turn your bike off after riding it, some of it will be up here. Now, some of it will be up here and throughout the engine, but vast majority of it will be here with the transmission, right? Because that's where the pan is on the bottom, right over there on the other side. You can't see it. Right? Got your oil filter right here. So when your bike falls over, right, oil from here can travel up here and make its way into the into the cylinder, and then onto the spark plug, and it'll get to the coil too. So another place it might come through is the valve cover. My valve cover looks good. I don't think it's leaking. Let me put this down so I don't break it. It still looks pretty pretty good. I'm 100% certain the valve cover is not the problem. Number one, because the bike is brand new, it shouldn't have a problem from the factory, although sometimes it does, right? And number two, there is no sign of an oil leak anywhere. Don't smell burning oil. I don't see oil anywhere. It's, you know, definitely not the problem. So the oil had to have gotten into the cylinders from when the bike fell over a couple times. Typically, if you replace a spark plug when that happens, you don't want oil in your spark plug. Sometimes when you remove the spark plug and that has oil on it, and you put it back, even if you clean it off or whatever, it might not start, or it'll run very, very differently. So if that happens, you know, replace the spark plug. If you see oil on the spark plug like that, replace it, okay? This bike hasn't had any issues running, so I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to check what I can. But yeah, there's no way it's blown a valve cover. Hopefully that's not the problem. I replace the spark plug, and after like a couple 100 miles, if I still see oil on the spark plug, then I'll do a video on how to replace this valve cover gasket, because that's, you know, most likely the issue. But again, you can look at the end of this coil plug right here. See, it looks good, right? Nothing wrong with it. Brand new. Rubber looks nice. It's not all squishy and loose and thin. If you turn on the flashlight, if you look inside, see, it still looks pretty new. Everything's fresh, right? So there's no reason to replace that based on initial inspection. All right, so I might go get the spark plug today. I might go get it right now, because I don't want to have to take this thing apart again to replace that thing. Oh. But just gonna give you another look at it. Just a tiny bit of oil in it. You know, this may be normal, I don't know, but you know, I began working on cars first, and oil in the spark plug, especially near this electrode right here, you can see it glisten right there, is not a good sign. All right, you know, as far as I know, with 4-stroke engines, oil is not ever supposed to make its way into the cylinder, and quite obviously, like I've said at least 4 times now, it has. So I'm going to go get a new spark plug. Well, first I'm going to see what the price is on it, and if the price isn't too bad, I'll go get it. But yeah, so I'll be right back. Alright, after careful consideration and a little bit of research, I decided I'm not going to replace the spark plug. Sorry if it's a little noisy. We have a lot of birds in this area. We get a lot of chickadees, even wild turkeys run around here. But yeah, we got a lot of birds, and they make a lot of noise. I'm trying to get this to focus on it. I know you guys have probably seen this enough and you're tired of looking at it, but yeah, I'm not going to replace it. Where's my light? Right here. So one thing I wanted to make a note of is when you have the spark plug out and there's just, you leave this open, put like a paper towel or something in here or a rag or something to cover it up. Make sure no dirt, nothing gets in there, especially if you leave it sitting like this for a few hours or a couple days or whatever. Don't know if you can hear that, but that's I think that's a helicopter flying over. It's really cloudy out. Let's see. Yeah, just make sure you put something in the spark plug well, so that way nothing falls in there. You know, you might be working up here and then you break a connector or something like that, and then a plastic piece falls in there, and then you're in big trouble. You gotta drop the engine and fish that out. So it's always a good idea to plug this up. Okay, so far we have learned how to remove the radiator and flush the coolant. That's two things, right? We learned how to remove the exhaust pipe. I say we because this is my first time working on this thing too. So, kind of learning together here. So, learn how to remove the exhaust pipe. And what else? Oh, we've learned how to remove the spark plug. So, that's four things that you guys and me now know how to do on your this should be pretty much universal for sport bikes. I don't know how this works on chopper bikes or Harley type bikes or adventures or what do you call them, dirt bikes, but I assume that much like cars, a lot of this stuff is interchangeable. You know, you just adjust to the way a certain manufacturer builds their cars or vehicles, and it's pretty much straightforward. But yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to reinstall the spark plug. And should we put this? Well, yeah. We'll put the exhaust pipe back on there first, and then we'll put the radiator on there last. And we will. Well, I still have to put this thing back together before I can show you how to finish this up, because you do not just pour the coolant back in the radiator. There's a little process you have to do. It doesn't take long, especially since this is a small engine, small system. You know, won't be too much of a hassle. But I'm probably going to start piecing this back together. But before that, I'm going to tell you one quick thing. When it comes to torque specs, you do not have to worry about using a torque wrench, all right? On spark plugs and valve cover bolts, I'll show you the two right here. There's one there. Right there. It's one valve cover bolt, and then over there on the other side. It's actually kind of hard to get it on camera, but if you look here, right next to the spark plug well, right there, and then over there, those are your valve cover bolts. Back there, it looks like, I can't really tell. That might be for the fuel, but yeah, those two bolts are your valve cover bolts. For stuff like that, same thing with oil filter bolts right here. You do not need a torque wrench, all right? You do not need a torque wrench. Do not listen to anybody who tells you need a torque wrench for spark plugs, okay? The reason why is universally spark plugs need to be torqued between 9 and I think it goes as high as 17 foot-pounds. That's snug. That's what we would call snug, all right? You do not need to tighten them to like 50 or 100 foot-pounds, all right? They have a ton of threads. The threads are really long, so they do not need to be that tight, okay? You can even leave it loose, like thread it all the way down, but don't, you know, tighten it. You leave it loose like that, it'll still work. I mean, I'm not saying you can do that, but what I am saying is the spark plug won't shoot out or anything like that. You won't, well, I won't say you won't, but, you know, point is the spark plug won't shoot out, okay, and destroy your valve heads and engine and whatnot, right? So don't need to tighten them down super tight, okay? Same thing with this here. They don't need to be super tight, all right? You look in your owner's manual, it gives you a torque spec. That torque is so low that most wrenches will not even go that low, okay? So tighten it by hand. Make sure it's tight. Make sure it's tight. You know, it feels tight and it's in there. It's not going anywhere. You know, kind of like when you, when you put this, when you finish your oil change and you put this on here, you know, you don't make it super tight, right? You make it just tight enough so that it's on there. You do the same thing with your spark plugs. All right. Don't need a torque wrench. Same thing for the exhaust. The exhaust pipe, but I will show you that when we get to it. The radiator does not, radiator mounts and whatever, there's no torque spec. You just make it tight, as tight as you want it to be, and you're good to go. So I'm going to get this set up, and then I'll show you exactly what I mean. All right, so when you're doing spark plugs, it's usually handy to get one that has a magnet in it like this, so that way you can, when you pull this out, the spark plug comes with it. Usually they come with a little rubber thing in here so you don't mess up the ceramic around here, and you don't damage anything on the plug. But that's about it. There's no magnet in it, right? So it's really handy that these things have magnets in them. So whenever you go buy one, make sure it has a magnet in it. Otherwise, you might need something like this. This is what I used to get it out because that didn't have a magnet in it. And you just stick it down in the spark plug well, like this, and then you pull it out. So the socket's rolling away. Just gonna pull this back. Alright, same thing as we did before. Alright, we got the spark plug in here, got the extension, got the 5/8 socket. We're just going to angle it like this, push up right here. I think we might need to, I'm going to try and manhandle it this way, see if I can get it. Now I think I pushed these wires up and they're just there now. Yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm going to try and drop it in with the screwdriver magnet. Alright, so I just manned up and dropped it in there. That's all I did. I just dropped the plug in there as straight as I could. Got my fingers as far as I could down there and dropped it in there. Now we're just getting the socket on there, and then just wiggle it lightly. Don't push it. Alright, you don't want to bend that that electrode where the tip of the spark plug is bent. That part right there. Don't want to mess that up. And you also don't want to drop the spark plug in there because it might land on that and change the gap. The gap is the distance between that bent tip that I showed you and then the little tiny pointy metal part. Alright, that's the gap. Alright, if you make that too small, your engine will it'll detonate earlier. So basically when combustions go off in the engine, it's going to do that too early, and that will cause it's called pre-ignition or knock. I think no, knock is secondary ignitions. My bad. So yeah, it's called pre-ignition. And if it's too wide, sometimes it will not spark at all, which means there's no combustion and no power being made. That's otherwise known as a misfire. But yeah, so you just get your fingers as far down there as possible like this, and just get it in there, and then stop, and just let it go. Hopefully it falls straight and it doesn't, you know, bend anything. I don't want to give you guys the wrong advice. So if you want to call me a retard and do it your own way, I mean, go ahead. Okay. You know, if you got your own methods, use your own methods. But that's the way I did. So now we're just going to turn it by hand, like I said before. And these things have really long threads, so you just keep turning and turning and turning until you can't hand tighten it anymore. Like right here. Okay, now this is the point where the torque is important. Okay, we don't have a torque wrench, and as you can see, I'm trying to tighten it by hand, and it's just not working right. It's hand tight right now. If I were to put the coil back on and slap this thing back together, it would start, but it would not run well at all, and it would destroy the spark plug and possibly threads. So I'm going to make sure our wrench is set to the correct direction. Then we're going to pop this thing on here. It's a little hard. Hold on, give me a minute. Alright, so I got it on there, and I'm going to pull it this way. Right? See, I'm pulling it this way. It's already pretty tight. I have to put a good amount of effort into turning this thing, right? So with that in mind, that means it's pretty much torqued. All you got to do is give it a nice quarter of a turn. So like this, just pull it. Not even a quarter of a turn. Like right there. See, I barely even moved it. Right? So start it like right here. Try to give you as good a view as possible. Start it like right here. Right? Pulled it like that far. Right? So it was tight from here. And I pulled it and pulled it and pulled it and pulled it and stopped like right here. Alright? It's pretty tight. It's in there, okay? Do not tighten it any more than that. Alright, I've done enough spark plugs to know that this is pretty tight. Some of them are like your traditional bolts, where it gradually gets tighter and tighter and tighter, like a lug nut. If you use a torque wrench or any wrench on the lug nut, right? It's like that. Sometimes the spark plugs will be super easy to turn, and then they'll just stop at one point, right? And when you use your wrench and you turn it, it's really, really, really hard to turn, all right? This car is like that, and it still runs. There's something wrong with it, but the engine runs, right? Perfectly. Did the plugs on that a couple times, and then at my job, I did it a number of times. However, the cars at my job, they're the ones that gradually get tighter. So if your bike has spark plugs like that, when it starts to get like this, where you can put enough effort into it, and when you can put a lot of effort into it like this, and it doesn't turn, that's probably tight enough. All right, don't tighten it any more than that. Okay, but this spark plug is that first type, and again, I know I'm repeating myself. I just want to be thorough, make sure you guys understand. I need to put a lot of force, a lot of torque into this if I want it to turn. Okay, that's your spark plug telling you it's tight enough. Okay, so get your wrench off. I want to snake this out of here. Alright, got that out. And then next, you want to put your coil back on. Now with coils, when you put them on, it's super simple. You just drop it in there, and it's in there. You're good, okay? You don't need to angle it perfectly or drop it in perfectly center. No, 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 no. 9.9999999% of times, it's going to fall directly onto the spark plug. Whether you put it in crooked or sideways or whatever, it's going to land right onto the spark plug. So no matter what angle you put this thing in at, you're fine. All right. If you're not fine, your bike won't start. All right. Worst case scenario. So again, you're going to have to manhandle this thing, get it in there. Oh man. Hold on, I need to pause it real quick. I need to find out the best way to get this thing back in there, then I'll let you guys know. Alright, I think I got it. So the boot right here, this is pretty much all just space that you can bend. You can bend it right here, no problems. Alright, so what you do is, hold up, put this in a spot where you can at least kind of see. Hope that's good enough. That's horrible. I'll just hold it. So you need to okay, now my flashlight won't work. There we go. Got it. Stupid Harbor Freight flashlights. Alright, so you see where this is, right? Where the coil is pointing. You want to just push it right there. Push it right there as far as you can, and then just slide it in there. Alright, you're going to bend this plastic tip right here. That's fine. It's just rubber. Alright, so you just want to push right there and then bend it, and it should pop right in. Alright, so my flashlight died. I have a second one here. It is not magnetized, and it's probably going to fall, but it's all I got. So here we go. I'm trying my best not to be too forceful with these plastics, but you can see I'm pushing it and then just bending it right in there. Sorry, I keep pressing the button by accident. The record button. Push it, then slide it in there. There we go. That was rough. So yeah, again, you just push it up right here and then push it forward. You got to slide it in there because it's a really tight spot, but it should just pop into place. This little rubber thing right here, this is just a cover, so you can manhandle that as much as you want, but don't lose it. Trying to keep it out of the way so you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, so right now it's not on the coil. Oh my fucking god. Alright, so right now it's not on the coil, right? So what you do from there, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just being extra thorough, so that way these things are easy to follow, especially for people who have never done stuff like this before. Like that, you just push it down. Like that. Just keep pushing it down, and eventually you'll get like this, and then you're good to go. Alright? Push it down a little bit more on all sides. right here, so you know that it's seated properly. And then you don't have to turn it to lock it or anything. It's a coil, all right. It's on there. It'll be fine. All right. So next, what did I say we were going to do? Was it the exhaust pipe? We can do the exhaust pipe. Yeah, sure. Let's put that back on. Okay, I'm going to take back my comment about the exhaust pipe. I think it's around 15 pounds. I underestimated it first because when I helped take the exhaust systems off of cars, oh my god, they're really, really heavy. Like super heavy, dude. Especially the H pipes or X pipes, my god. Even when there's like 3 people holding that thing up, it's super heavy. Anyway, so what I did first is, since we have to line it up with the exhaust side of the engine, I hooked this, I bolted this on here first, only hand tight, so we can still move it a little bit, right? I'm going to line it up. What was that? I don't know. Alright, I'm going to line it up with this first, and then I'm going to put the little caps on there, and then we'll do this right here. As much as I'd like to, hold on, maybe this flashlight will work. Yes, it does. Alright, this little thing on here turns. As far as I remember, there's no little gasket that goes on here. We kind of just hold on, gotta do some wiggle work. Alright, so getting it on this way, you might get a little stuck. So try to recreate it for you. Like right here, you might get stuck pushing it on there. You can see it kind of slid in there now, but that's just because I guess all the what do you call it? The slight rust around here, where it goes in at, and where it slides in like this. But just wiggle it like this, like that. Just wiggle it, and where are we at? Right here. Wiggle it and push it. Alright, you don't have to push it in all the way, because it's going to slide back out like that. So just make sure it's on there. Get your 2 little bolts. I forgot the oxygen sensor. You can either put that in before you install this or after. It's up to you. But yeah, I'm gonna get these on here. Go ahead, push that back. It's a little hard, you know, the camera work by yourself. It's hard doing this work by yourself. Now don't tighten that down all the way, just get it on there finger tight like I said, and then we're going to get this one on here as well. No, hand tight. This is how you prevent bolts and stuff from stripping. That's good right there. Sorry if my breathing gets annoying. I know it's annoying when people breathe, but we gotta stay alive. Alright. So you might encounter something like this where it doesn't line up. And that, my friend, is something everyone encounters when working in cars. But just give it a good push. good lift as hard as you can. It'll slide into place. You can even tilt the bolt a little bit like this, like that, to give you just a little bit more leverage, and then you push this up and wiggle it as much as you can. Don't Hulk smash it, okay, but definitely give it some force. All right, don't be afraid to use a little elbow grease, but again, do not Hulk smash it, okay? I know quite a few Hulk smash mechanics, and they break a lot of stuff. All right, so push it up like this and wiggle it and try to get that bolt in there. Just like that. Where are we at? Right behind here. I'm putting this little nut on the back of it like that. It was really easy, like very little effort at all. All right, bolt that in there, no problem. You know, if I had like a cameraman or a camera mount or something, I would have showed you, but I tried describing it as best I could. Okay, so we're going to tighten down those bolts all the way last, and there's one bolt we're forgetting. The bolt that goes to that. This, oh, I left it in there. That was a very nice idea. We're going to hook this ground on here. Now it goes this way, like that. Then you put the bolt in there, and then you just thread it down. Doesn't have to be tight. Feel free to use a power tool if you want to. You know, it's not that big of a deal. All right, so I'm going to do this, and then we'll get back to the this part right here. Right. So I'll tighten this down. All right, you want to make sure you don't get these dirty. As I said before, these are ground wires. This is part of the frame, which runs all the way back up here from the negative battery terminal. There's another little ground right here connected to the positive terminal. You know, so this all runs from here to the frame all the way down here. All right, and it will affect the running condition of your bike, and it might not start. Okay, so make sure those are clean and they're nice and tight. Don't over tighten them, but make sure they're tight. All right, there's no extra nuts on the back. You just thread it in, you're good to go. Okay. Might not be able to get a socket on this one back here, so using a wrench is recommended. You might have a skinny socket that fits, but you know, whatever you have, just letting you know. One thing I want to point out though, I'm sorry if I talk a lot and I might even ramble sometimes. I just want you guys to understand what's going on and know exactly what to do and know how these things work and where they go and whatnot. So that way, when you do this yourself, you know exactly what to do. You can remember it. It's, you know, because if you understand things, like how you know 2 + 2 = 4, because if you go up 2 times, you count up 2 times from 2, you get the 4, right? That's going to help you remember it, right? But if someone just tells you 2 + 2 = 4, you're like, all right, you might even forget it, right? So I'm sorry if I do that. I just hate looking up tutorials on YouTube and people are like, hey, all right, so you see this, right? See all these bolts here? What you're going to do is take these off and then pull this thing off and you're done, right? And then when you do it yourself, you take these bolts out, you gotta unhook this spring, and then you gotta loosen this nut, and then you gotta drain the oil, right? And they did all that stuff off camera. I hate that so much. So these videos are going to be extra long all the time trying to do this. All right, so back to the real stuff. So I got this thing in here, hand tight. These bolts right there, hand tight. You can see, I wiggle this, shake the whole bike, and it won't come loose, right? Just showing you that it's in there pretty good. So what you're going to do is get your wrench. Okay, so what you're going to do is get your wrench, get it on here, right? Turn this side a little bit, right? Because you can see how it's still not seated yet, right? So you're going to turn this side a little bit, just a little bit, then go to the other side and turn that side just as much, right? And keep doing that over and over again until this thing seats all the way. All right, as far as torque specs go, make it tight. Okay, tight. That's all I'm going to tell you. Make it tight. All right, don't leave this loose. Like I said, you'll have exhaust leaks. You'll be able to hear the difference between no exhaust leaks and exhaust leaks when you start it up. It'll sound like it'll sound like air escaping, basically. I know that sounds obvious, but usually you hear the exhaust escaping from back there, right? Because that's where the end of the exhaust pipe is, right? But what I mean is you're going to hear it escaping from up here too. It'll sound the same, but you'll hear the sound come from somewhere else. That's how you know you've got an exhaust leak. That, and there will be black soot coming from wherever the exhaust leak is. Oof. So if you look at exhaust pipes, you will notice that on the inside they have this black stuff, right? That soot right there. Yeah, you'll see that. Like, let's say there is an exhaust leak right here, right? There is a hole in it. There's an exhaust leak there. As long as it's not a gigantic hole, right? It's a small leak. You'll see some soot leak out from under there, because as everyone knows, when you start an engine from cold, a lot of water will come out, right? If you've ever been driving around town one day and you look at the back of some cars, you'll see water dripping out of the tailpipe, and especially when they accelerate, you'll see it just like, you'll see a whole bunch of water come out, right? That is what's going to mix with the soot and make it kind of leak and drip all over the place and get over everything. That's why it does that. So that's because the product of every combustion is CO2 and H2O. So, and a very small amount of the exhaust, even through all this emission stuff like the catalytic converter and muffler, a very small amount of it is still unburnt fuel. So that's what that whole thing is, right? I forgot what I was talking about, but hopefully I cleared up whatever I was trying to do. So yeah, what we're going to do is tighten this a little bit, and tighten that side a little bit, tighten this side a little bit, tighten that one a little bit. Don't be afraid to do it like a one whole turn, one half turn. All right, just don't. Well, I keep saying that, but you guys know what to do. Tighten it a little bit on this side, then do that side, right? Do that till it fully seats. Once it fully seats, make it tight, all right? Real tight. And then you can put the oxygen sensor back in there. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, so if you're anything like me, then when you're trying to get this on here, let me get the light. When you're trying to get this on here, you keep banging into the horn, which is this thing right here. You can either just get around that by turning the ratchet just a little bit every single time, or you can move it out of the way. There is a there is a 10mm bolt that goes right here. So there's the bolt, and then the horn will be right here. There's a 10mm bolt connecting it or holding it right there. As you can see here, I have it zip tied. And once you get that out, I put the bolt right here, and the fan, and the radiator fan, so I don't lose it. And there's this little plastic piece right here. This will also fall out. So if this is not there, make sure you find it, pick it up, and put it back, because there is a little plastic / metal washer that goes with it. But yeah, you can move the horn out of the way. I tried to unplug it. I thought there was a connector up here. There is no connector. It's just a wire that runs back. And it looks like it's soldered or crimped right here. I can't tell, there's tape on it. But you guys know I like being thorough, so I would have tried to open this, but I'm not replacing the horn or anything. We're not going like super in depth with it as much as I'd like to. But yeah, you can kind of zip tie the horn out of your way so you don't keep hitting it. I know it gets annoying, but yeah, see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I got the exhaust pipe back in place. As you can see, there is some space between the two. So, like I said, don't go crazy with the tightening. Okay, just a little bit at a time on each side until it gets tight, really tight, and then you're good to go. Alright, so as you can see, this little space is in between here. That won't cause exhaust leaks. It's supposed to be like that. As you can't see it. But well, if you remember, there was that little it was like basically the tip of it was wider, right? And it went inside the part on the engine, right? You had to wiggle it inside there. Yeah, that's what's causing the little space in between there. So once it's really tight, you're good. You won't have any exhaust leaks as long as you tighten everything down properly. And after that, you should know how to put the oxygen sensor back in there. It's really simple. You want to twist it in there first. So don't put it on that connector back there, but just twist it in there first and make sure it's tight. Again, no real torque spec. Alright, just make sure it's tight, not too tight. It's an O2 sensor, so it's gonna rust itself in place anyway. So get your 17mm, and once it's tight, make sure it's snugged up here. After that, we can put the horn back in place. Got to put the horn back. And if you're having any trouble with the hoses, again, they're rubber. You can bend them like this. They're rubber. They will return to their molded rubber. They'll return to their original shape. No problem. Alright, so let's go put that horn back. Right, got the zip tie off. Here's the, oh, god damn it, 10mm bolt for it. Hold on, let me put it back real quick. There you go, it goes this way, like that. That little protruding end right there goes on the outside toward the rear of the bike. So what we're going to do is, it's hard to do this with one hand, very hard. Take this, just like that. Stick it in there, right, follow me, right? And then right here on this mount, right there. Sorry I missed it because of the light. Right there. Motherfucker. Alright, now it's time to put the radiator back in. Small little radiator. It's like same length as my forearm, a little bit of my hand. Very small, very tiny. And so, hold on, let me get you a light. Ooh, there we go. This. Alright. Well, see, the way this thing works is they're like, where can you see it best? Right there. They're like shells in there, right? The coolant travels down the shells. It goes all the way across like this. You can see where these little metal plates are between those fins. Those long metal things right here. Those are the shells. And these little fins right here absorb the heat as well as the little shells. But coolant travels all the way down here like that, fills up all the shells and warms up these fins, and as you drive, the wind cools it rapidly, because, you know, if you spread something out and cool it cools off much faster, right? So that's what these fins are here for. The front and the back. You can see a little bit of discoloration right there. It's not damage. It happens to all of them, because, you know, these things go through drastic heat cycles. But yeah, that's pretty much how a radiator works. It comes in from the top right here, coats all the shells, warms up the fins, and the wind from driving cools it off. Then it goes through here to this hose, back into the reservoir, which is back there. Can't see it because it's pretty hidden, but yeah, reservoir is back there. What was I gonna say? I don't really know. I don't know. I'll let you guys know if I remember. But what we're going to do is, we're going to put the fan back on there and get the hoses on there. And then, basically, you guys know how to install the radiator. You took it off, right? You know how to get it back on there. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so something I just discovered. These little these little metal clips right here. You have to make sure these are lined up perfectly. See, this one's a little off. If the bolt's not going in there, you can't get it in there, or when you tighten it, it doesn't go down all the way, or it strips. Straighten these out right here, and it should go right in. Okay, so I've got the radiator fan bolted in, and whenever you want to set the radiator somewhere safe. Oh my god, I keep doing that, it's so bright. Hold on. You can just slide it onto the little supports right there, no problem. Just push it with your thumb, falls right in. So with your oxygen sensor, don't forget that you can't just plug it directly into here, like go behind the fan. It has to go behind this little that bar right there, that bar, so that way it doesn't get in the way of the fan. All right, you don't want that to get caught in the fan. It'll cause many problems. Ooh, oh man. Sorry about that. That was probably very loud. Okay, so what we're going to do is clean out this. Can I think here? No, that sucks. Mount this thing up. What, right here? Will that work? Hopefully this will work. If that works enough. It's a little bit in my face, but you know the camera can see it well enough. So we're going to find it. Here it is. It's right here. Right. Found it over here. Right. Come to the other side of the bike. Go under. the horn through here, right? Then push it up behind these two bars right here. You'll have to get under the wires that are right here, and then just pull it through. And sorry, you have to get under that flashlight. The light's not working well. You'll have to get under these wires right here and pull it through, right? Pull it through here, and the connector should be right up behind here. Yeah, let me see if I can feel it. Yeah, right here. Connector's right there. Okay. So once you get it under, hold on, it's a little difficult with one hand. Okay, once you get it hooked in there, wrapped in there, hooked in there, whatever, you can go back to the other side and plug it in. Okay, so now that you've got the oxygen sensor plugged in, or maybe you did that already, you're going to get the radiator on these mounts right here, the rubber mounts. If you, where is it? Right here. If you line it up on one side, then line it up on the other side, and then squeeze it like this. Just push on it like that. It'll pop right in. So if you're trying to push it, or pull it like this, or push it from the other side, you might be having some difficulty. So you just line up both sides and then squeeze it or push it with your thumb like that. It'll slide right in. Okay? I know, that's what she said. Okay. Next, you're going to slide these hoses back on. This one right here, lower hose, is overflow hose. I'll show you how to get that back on. And then the upper hose over there. You can also put the mount bolt back in, which goes right there. Or you can wait, it's up to you, it doesn't matter. I'd wait, since you have to fill this back up, and having it up here might be a little inconvenient, but alright, let's get these hoses back in. Alright, I slid this little overflow hose on there already, have the others in there. Alright, make sure you tighten them down, because we're not taking them off again. Unless you forgot something, which I hope you didn't, because forgetting stuff sucks. Let's squeeze it. Like that. See, I don't know if you saw that or not. I'm sorry if you didn't. It's a little hard to record and work at the same time. So I will try and show you again. Let me get some light. Alright, so you're gonna grip those two things with your pliers, right? Telling you that so I don't have to show you doing it. Again, I'm sorry, it's hard to aim the camera and do this at the same time. I suck at multitasking. Gonna grip these two. It's nice seeing you struggle, right? So you know what you might run into, and we can relate. And this video feels much, much better, as opposed to showing me get it in one shot, right? So you grip those, and once you grip them, right, you wiggle it like this, and pull it. All right, you just wiggle it and pull it. You can do the same thing to get it off. This thing gave me a lot of trouble. This thing gave me a lot of trouble getting it off. Getting it on there, I think I got lucky. I'm not sure, but wiggle it. I don't want to pull it, wiggle it this way and get it off that way just to show you, because then I might not be able to get it back on. High chance I won't be able to. But, you see how it moved a little bit like that? Grip it hard and then just push it. But to get it off, you have to do that. You have to do that and push it from here, unless you just have like good hand and finger strength, which I don't. So I need to do it this way. Because I just suck at doing this. Let me try and manhandle it. Pliers keep slipping for me. If you mess up and you break this thing, or you lose it or whatever, don't worry about it. I'm pretty sure you can just zip tie it, or throw a those really small screw type zip ties they have, not zip ties, hose clamps they have on here. Although I've never done that before, so it might not be small enough, but it's just nice to know you always have it back. Like that, you can see how it's moving back, right? And then, so you do that to get it back on there. You just turn it, wiggle it, and pull it. You see how it was moving, right? I had to stop because it almost came off, and that would have been torture. But yeah, that's how you get this thing back on there. Then you slide this as far forward as you can, so you don't cause any leaks. You don't want any coolant leaks. Coolant leaks are the second worst. No, they're probably the worst leak you could have. No, that goes to transmission. Transmission leak is the worst thing you could have. So these are the second worst. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so now let me get the light. Actually, the flashlight on my phone should do. All right, now it is time to fill the radiator with all the coolant that you extracted, or that we extracted earlier. Now I had in this container, I didn't have anything to cover it with, so I just left it exposed. Foolish move. Always want to cover it with something. Don't use like a rag or paper towels or anything, because it'll fall in here and get soaked. Hopefully you have like a bottle or something you could keep it in, but I didn't. So just use like a plastic cover, like saran wrap or something, or come on, there we go, like a wooden block or whatever, and yeah, just keep it covered so nothing gets in there, because a few bugs got in here and I had to fish them out, and this thing got a little dirty. I had to fish out all that dirt too. See, some of the particles are in here. Unfortunately, the coolant system doesn't have a filter like the oil does in the transmission. So try to get as much dirt out as you can, which I'm going to do right now. Alright, I got enough of the particles out. The coolant, if you see like little like patterns in the coolant at certain angles from the light, that's fine. Coolant looks like that. That's how it is. If you are reusing the coolant like me, it's a brand new bike, I don't need the coolant, flush it, then you know you want to catch your coolant. If not, then you can go ahead and pour your new coolant straight in. But since I'm reusing the coolant, I captured it all in this container. And hopefully you have a small funnel, because this use this for comparison. It fits like perfectly around there. It's not small enough to go all the way in there, which is what you want it to do. But I don't have a funnel small enough. I don't even have a funnel here, which is why I'm using this. But yeah, hopefully you're smarter than me and more prepared and have a funnel. So I don't think I'll be able to do this and record. See if I can like angle it or something. I think it'll be at a horrible angle. So but you know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just pouring the coolant back in there, right back in here, until it's going to bubble. It's going to bubble. All right, it's going to fill up and it's going to bubble a lot. Wait until it bubbles, fill it up some more. Just keep going and going and going and going until you can't fill it anymore. Okay? Okay, I got all the coolant back in there. Unfortunately, I spilled not a lot of it, but a good deal of it. This one's too bright. Look in there. You can see that it's missing the mark a little bit. If I add like maybe a few more ounces of it, it'll be filled to the top. But you want your radiator to be filled to the top, right? Like right up here, like right there. All right, to the very brim, all right? But you know, you saw what happened. When I pulled the hose off, a little bit of it spilled. It got all over here, and on the tire, and on the floor. And I had to clean it up. And I think I spilled, I lost some of it because a paper towel fell into the bowl. So that picked up a good deal of the coolant. So hopefully you're not clumsy like me. But this is enough coolant. We'll check the coolant level in a little bit after we're done. But do not put your radiator cap back on. Right, there's one more important step we need to do before we can throw the radiator cap back on there. And also, don't forget to put this hose back on this little mount right there. All right, it's probably not the most important thing in the world, but yeah. Then you want to double check your hoses. Make sure that when you filled this up, none of them started leaking. And if you spilled any on the exhaust pipe, make sure you clean it off as best as you can. But you won't be able to get 100% of it off. If you have brake clean, you can use that. And next time you start your bike, if you smell something burning, it's probably the coolant, the residual coolant that's on here, or the brake clean you used to clean off the exhaust pipe. Whatever you put on here, whatever fell in here. If you smell something burning, that's most likely what it is. Give it a few days. If it lasts longer than a week, you might actually be burning something, okay? But just give it periodic checks to be 100% sure that nothing's dripping onto the exhaust pipe. Alright, that stuff's toxic. You don't want to breathe that in, it'll kill you. That's what sucks about working in a shop. All the engines that come in here, burning oil, shooting it straight out of the exhaust, burning coolant, all the brake clean, you know, all that stuff that you really shouldn't be breathing in. Yeah, we're surrounded by that stuff all day. And it's really dirty, and I'm a clean person. And I have to sit around in a dirty, dirty shop all day. But that's what pays the bills. So once you do that, oh, sorry, double checking the hose. You don't want to over tighten these. At a certain point, you'll be just spinning the screw, and this thing right here won't be turning won't be coming out any further. And at that point, you've tightened it enough. It's not going anywhere, okay? All right. One really important thing you don't want to forget to do is put that rubber cover right there back onto here, okay? I don't know what purpose it serves, but it was there when we took this thing apart. So let's just be safe and put that back. All right. So with that, we are done with the radiator. If you're having a little difficulty getting this bolt back in, that's because it's not lining up properly. So all you got to do is, if you have it on these mounts already, these little mounting bolts, and you got all the hoses in there, it should be pretty much lined up. So just push it, just a little bit, just push it. All right, just give it a little push like that, and then you should be able to thread it in. All right, that's because it's not lining up properly to come out this side with this little metal thing right here. It's not lining up with that. So give the radiator a little push, and then you should be able to thread it in. And where is it? Right here. This. Do not forget the cover to your oxygen sensor like I did. Sorry, I forgot to mention it. We got everything else though, so that's good. Got everything, but we forgot this little, or I don't know, maybe you didn't forget, but I forgot. So, just in case you didn't remember, put this back on there. All right, we're back. It's a brand new day. I would say it's morning, but it's not. That'd be a lie. But it is bright, so we'll pretend that it's bright and early. And we are almost done with our coolant flush and whatnot. So, got this back on there. And we have the radiator back together. And the spark plug is back in place. And if you remember what I said earlier, we filled this back up. I told you mine was a little bit lower because of a mistake I made. And I found that screw right here. So what we need to do now is bleed the radiator, bleed the entire cooling system. The way you do that is get the key. Plug it into the ignition. Make sure your battery's hooked up if you took it off. I'm just making sure everything is hooked up on mine before I start it. I don't think I touched much of anything, but it's, always good to double check. Yeah, it's back in there. It's plugged up. Yeah, I think everything's good. Gotta make sure these lights here are hooked up because I undid the wiring on that. This is still exposed, so perhaps I should reconnect those. Yeah, I think I'll reconnect those. I need to make sure they work too. I'll be back in just a moment. Oh, alright, moment of truth. Going to turn that on. Yep, left turn signal works. No surprise there. Let me turn that off. Looks like the left one, or the right one, works too. And the one in the rear works. And so does this one. Now, I won't be able to see this, but hopefully you guys can see that the brake light works. My bad, wrong lever, I'm retarded. Okay, yeah, it looks like it works. So that means I've wired everything up correctly. The running light works too, as well as the license plate tag light. Alright, so, alright, it's in neutral, and we got power and everything, and just a test to make sure it works. Yes, it does. Alright, so what we're going to do is turn this on and let the engine run for about 15-20 minutes so we can bleed all the air out of the cooling system, because we did drain the coolant, everything from this hose and the other one in the radiator. There's bound to be some air trapped in here. So leave the cap off, let it idle, don't ride it, don't drive it anywhere, just let it sit here and idle for about like I said, 15-20 minutes. Keep an eye on the coolant level. It's gonna bubble, then it's gonna fall down some, so make sure you keep it topped off. You know, fill it right to the top. Okay, if you have a funnel, you can drop a funnel in there and then just pour some coolant in there, fill up the funnel, and then just let it sit there for however long, and then when it's done, you take it out and you're good to go. But most important thing is to leave this cap off. That's how the air is going to escape. So hopefully, where's my flashlight? Hopefully my coolant level doesn't fall below there, right there. It's considerably lower than it was when I first opened it, so I'm a little concerned, but we're going to start it and hopefully it will run. Alright, so see if you can see it. I let it run for a little bit, and coolant level rose like very slightly, which is normal because, you know, thermal expansion is a thing. So it didn't change too much, so I guess there wasn't much, if any, air in the system. But whenever you do a coolant flush, it's always good to put up this thing. It's a little confusing. I gotta figure out how to get this thing back on there. Hopefully I don't have to bend anything. I don't think I do. I should just go right on there like a regular radiator cap. Fuck is the problem? Alright, anyway. So yeah, whenever you do a coolant flush on anything with a motor like this, that is this type of cooling system or whatever I'm trying to say, you guys know what I mean, but whenever you do a coolant flush, especially a complete one, you have to bleed the air out of the system. Because, you know, you drain all the coolant out, you put more in, that's going to trap air and make air bubbles in the hoses, and typically almost every time you bleed it out through the radiator, because you can open this cap and run the engine as long as you want to, and nothing will shoot out, nothing will blow out. All right, you don't want to use a hose because this is how the coolant gets to the engine and whatnot. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Once you put that back together, job's finished. You got your spark plug, coolant flush, and the exhaust replacement if you're putting a custom or a modified exhaust on this. Now you know how to do 3 of those things, and there you go. Job's done. Put the cap back on. Put this tiny screw back in there. I don't know if it's like very, very important, but it was there, so let's play it safe and put it back. Yeah, job's done from there, and put everything back together and go for a little test ride. So if you guys want to see me do anything else, like how to replace this light, these lights, the brake light, the battery, air filter, the lights up there, how to adjust the clutch lever, how to adjust the front brake flush, all that simple maintenance stuff, just let me know. I'll show you. It's super easy. These things are essentially the same as cars when it comes to the build, with the only exception being the powertrain, the engine and transmission, but pretty much the same. It's not too hard. Oh, I can also show you how to adjust the chain slack. As you can see here, mine is still, or was perfectly in spec when it was new. But yeah, if you guys want to see any of that, just let me know, leave a comment. I will be happy to do it since I'm in quarantine and I have nothing to do. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you liked it.